What's up, everyone? So this is David Marvin Smith, and welcome back to The Crunch, the show where we break down what's happening in tech with the people making it happen. And today we have a super special guest. I am so excited to welcome my friend. Are you ready? Let me make sure I get our thing here. Anna Perez Quiles from Check One Software. What's up, Anna?
Awesome. Hey guys, how's it going? Good to
Good,
see
good, good.
you.
I don't know, Anna. You and I, we go back. Your friend. We go back for 3 years now, and we actually have a mutual friend in common, Sarita Kincaid. Remember Sarita?
I gotta love Sarita.
It's so funny. So Sarita's supposed to have been on here like a couple times, but our schedules just kept getting messed up. So it's been so. Sarita, if you're listening, we gotta get you on, girl. Come on.
Yeah, I haven't seen her in several years too.
Yeah, yeah. So what's been
We,
going on? How's life?
Life is good. Life is good. I just finished my MBA program, which was awesome.
Yes.
And then just having kids, having a job, living life.
Just life is lifing, right? Life is
Life
lifing.
for sure.
So you mentioned the MBA program. So wow, so you've been talk about that a little bit. We'll get to your background, but what's that been like? Now into your career and you're getting your MBA. What's that like?
Yeah. I've always really loved school.
Mm-hmm.
I always say I'm like an undercover nerd. So when I initially graduated from San Jose State 2011, I always said I was going to go back and get a master's. I just wanted
Mm-hmm.
to
Mm-hmm.
get real life experience,
Yeah.
and it just took a lot longer than I wanted it to, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And then I kind of didn't want to go back just for PR. I wanted to get like a bigger picture, like a bigger perspective of business in general.
Yeah.
So I started looking for a few programs, and I got into this. Well, I applied to three schools, and this
Yeah.
program that I ended up doing is called Quantic, and it's really
Mm-hmm.
cool. It's an executive MBA, and it was
Yeah.
in a year and a half, nine core courses where you get to work with people from all over the world.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we did like case studies and a capstone project, and you get all the real life like MBA experience, and it's all
Mm-hmm.
virtual.
That's so cool.
Hmm.
That's so cool. Now with so you're now at Checkpoint Software, right?
Yeah.
And tell us a little bit about your current role at Checkpoint.
Yeah, so I am a PR manager for the Americas.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I do direct media relations in the US, and then I
Mm-hmm.
manage an agency in Canada, and then five agencies in Latin America, which is Mexico, Brazil, Chile, Argentina, and Colombia.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. So, as PR manager for the Americas, now that is a very diverse region, right? And so and now I know your expertise runs, sort of deep with obviously answer relations. You've covered answer relations and now PR. Do you see? Is there a different that you need for AR versus PR? What's sort of the difference there?
For sure. I think analyst relations is more long term. So it's, you know about these reports that are coming out. So you make sure
Mm-hmm.
that if your analysts that they know what your strategy is, that
Yeah,
you're understanding the market from them as well. So it's more
yeah,
long form and more like relationship building. And I
yeah,
think that PR is also relationship building, but it's fast paced. It's like
yeah,
from one day to the next, it'll be like a whole different story because there's a new, like especially in cyber, right? There's a new vulnerability or there's a new trend or there's a new scam. So it's
yeah.
like very quick and always changing. And I think that's kind of what I like about it because it definitely keeps me on my toes. I never know what it look like. So I think it's a different perspective, but it's both like
Yeah,
very human, obviously both in both fields, and then just a lot of
yeah.
communication and staying on top of things.
No, yeah, for sure. And so, what would you say are the unique challenges in terms of managing PR across North, Central, South America, for a major cybersecurity firm like Checkpoint?
Yeah. Um, I think well, one of the unique challenges for me taking on LATAM was getting that Spanish learning curve. I was always
Hmm.
bilingual, but I was
Yeah,
never like business Spanish or like cyber terminology. So
yeah,
understanding that and knowing that there's a difference in how we say, AI versus in Spanish, it's IA. So inteligencia artificial. So just different ways to say things. I think it's really cool because I work for a global team, so we're pretty much
hmm,
like always on. So the news
yeah,
cycle and kind of just keeps moving.
Right, right. That's interesting because it gets, I'm thinking like cybersecurity, right? It's such a, it's a tough subject to make compelling. And it's often like reactive in a sense, right? And so like a breach happens and you have to respond, right? So how do you get ahead of that and sort of proactively tell these sort of positive, engaging stories? And again, to your point, you have to sort of, make it multicultural because you're dealing, in regions that, very diverse.
Yeah, I think we have an amazing bench of good spokespeople that are always willing to jump in and comment on anything that's going on. And a lot of that of what we do is like making sure people know about stuff, right? So
Yeah.
right now there's a whole back to school like scam. So schools are getting
Mm-hmm.
attacked. So making sure that parents know that their school needs to have good cybersecurity. Their school has to make sure that they keep the students' information safe.
Yeah.
Or another thing that we're doing right now is like, parents are taking back to school pictures and giving away all this information about their kids in this little poster where,
Yeah. Yeah.
we just need to be a little bit smarter about like the information that we're sharing online.
Yeah.
So pretty much just getting that information out and making it more consumer so that people can understand.
Yeah.
So ability, can then go to like layman's terms.
Yeah. So you just scared the crap out of me. My son started eighth grade today. I just did the pictures outside, and I was gonna post them. I'm gonna hold off now because now I'm a little scared.
I mean, we always have to have like a little dose of skepticism, right? Like,
Yeah,
obviously,
yeah.
your address, your address in the background, or just information.
Hmm.
There, it just has to be like more limited and more
Yeah.
aware.
No,
But
because I'm thinking because you're talking. I'm like, yeah, because the car was in the background. There was the license plate number. I'm like, man, I
yeah,
didn't think about that. But now you got me well scared right now. Well scared. So, what's the secret? I guess to tell. I guess for this topic, what's the secret to good storytelling in your field?
I think like not being doom and gloom very much, kind of like
How I'm
putting
scared right
people,
now?
yeah, doom and gloom does get headlines, right? But that's not what we want to do. We want to make sure that it's more of a awareness and education,
Hmm.
like so
Yeah,
people know and understand what's going on.
yeah,
So crafting things and making it more understandable for the everyday person versus just saying, stay offline because you can't share anything because people are coming after you and there's so many deep fakes that everybody needs to be terrified.
right. You can tell I'm still scared. Yeah. That's fun. So, are the I guess the cybersecurity concerns and the way you message them, say Brazil, different from how you would say approach it in like Colombia or U.S. or Canada?
I think the storylines are that they like are different. I know that in
Hmm.
Latin America, they really do like to know about the breaches and how
Yeah,
many attacks each of the countries are experiencing.
yeah,
Where in the US, it just kind of depends, right? A lot of outlets really like our research.
yeah.
And then for, uh, and more, and then there's the consumer content, right? The consumer content's always hot. So it just kind of
Hmm.
depends on what the country likes. And
Yeah.
that's how we kind of message it.
Right, exactly, and so now you've been visiting the region as well too. What's been any interesting stories or experiences from the region as you visit Latin America?
Yeah, so I got to go to Colombia early
Hmm.
last month, which was amazing. And we had an amazing turnout of, I think, over 20 reporters. And just really
Hmm.
like listening to them. And, they cover everything from tech to cyber to
Yeah.
weather because, some outlets just don't have a lot of reporters anymore. So they have to
Right.
carry,
Right.
cover so many things. And I think that just the appetite to learn about like what cybersecurity risks there are out there, I think
Yeah. Yeah.
it's very cool to just see the interest.
No, absolutely. It's funny. For work, so I used to work for Gartner, right? And so my first travels to the region was as a Gartner analyst, and I remember being there doing sales calls, say in Brazil, Buenos Aires, just in that area, and it would always stood out to me was just the cultures of. I'm Jamaican, right? And so
Mhm.
there was a very similar sort of family structure. Very very big on family.
Yeah.
And food, and and so
Oh,
and so as I remember even working with salespeople there in this different felt it was there was a more of a cultural more of more family oriented, and so it was more relationship style, and so I'm thinking messaging to that region probably has to be more like you mentioned, more intimate, more more sort of direct and more uh, what's what I'm looking for, more culturally appropriate, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, and it's like totally warm, right? Like some of the
Yeah.
reporters I met in Colombia, like I had never met before. Maybe some of them we've like exchanged emails, but they're always like it's like a hug and a kiss. And
Yes, yes,
like, oh, we don't do this
yes.
in America with COVID.
No, no. Oh my God, yes. Because
But
I
it was
remember when I was there. Yeah, 'cause when I was there, I remember. Yeah, I would be like in sales calls, and so in the morning it's like a handshake. By lunchtime, it's a full-on hug. By the evening, I'm at their house eating dinner with grandma, right? And so it's a way different culture.
exactly. But it's to me it's like so like loving and heartwarming and just
Yes.
it's definitely they just kind of embrace you a lot more.
No, absolutely, absolutely. And so now your career, is sort of your career path is like a master class in building your in-house expertise. You mentioned your AR, coverage and AR expertise and PR, and sort of merging those two worlds together. And so you've seen, comms from many different angles, right? With all of that diverse experience, from deep AR, crisis comms to even like your event stuff, right? So in your current role now, what are you taking from that experience? Sort of like manage this role as PR manager for the Americas. What's sort of been the your sort of guidepost along the way?
That's a really good question. I think that I do take on a lot of the AR accolades. So
Mm-hmm.
Checkpoint's been around for over 30 years and we have a lot of great reports. So I
Yeah,
definitely bring like the AR understanding with the PR background to write the
yeah,
press release and make sure that we're sharing the things that are highlighted in our strengths. So I definitely like to merge, the two, my two
mm-hmm.
backgrounds there.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
So no, no, no. Because and so it's even for me, right? I've done so many different things. So I remember I was sort of scouring your LinkedIn, right, and seeing some of your internships, and like so I did like these varied internships. I used to work at a record company
Ah,
in New York City called EMI Records, and so like, but those experiences, well, besides the partying on Tuesday nights was a little weird. Yeah, it was like I can't sustain this lifestyle. It's just not gonna happen. It
yeah,
was like I'm not gonna make it. But like just have that sort of experience led me to sort of understand things about branding and storytelling, because that's all that business is. Like the different narratives, right? And so that's helped me to this day in
yeah.
in what I'm doing. Yeah.
I think, same thing. So I actually did a radio internship for like 3 years when I was in high school and going into college. And it was like the funnest experience ever because we would go
Yeah.
out and put on concerts and meet like, the artists of the time, of course. I was like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah. But for me, it definitely taught me the grind, right? Where it's like you get
Yeah.
your hands dirty and you do whatever needs to be done to make sure that the concert goes live, to make sure that everyone knows that we're here. So it was like stickering, bannering, waking up
Yes.
at 6 a.m. to be at a whole different city. So I think
Right.
that taught me like the grind. And we're never above anything. Like even like the on-air personalities or like the executives
Mhm.
come on and do all the work. So I think that definitely instilled that hard work and the grind and what is it called, like the word of mouth marketing.
Yeah, yes, and so again, similar backgrounds to me, with the because we're I guess similar industry, entertainment here, with the rec company, it was a lot of that. I mean, I remember my one claim to fame was one night hanging out in the club with LL Cool J. I thought I was so
Uh,
cool. Oh my, oh yeah, I was the man.
awesome.
But you're right. It was like that era. It just that industry is like all about grinding. You
Hmm.
know, making a name for yourself and just really going and getting it. And yeah, you get to meet all these different artists, and it was like the similar sort of mindset. And taking that right, continue with your journey. You sort of built your career, and you haven't shied away from who you are. You
Yeah.
know, you're a woman, you're a Latina, especially in this tech industry. What have been some of the challenges with that?
Oh, deep questions. Very nice. I feel like there's always an imposter syndrome, right? I think
Yeah.
maybe, especially like starting in my career, because it was my first corporate job. I remember, I used to wear my little suit,
Mm-hmm.
and I used to be all very buttoned up. Where I wanted to make
Yeah.
sure people took me seriously, that I
Yeah.
wasn't, you know, somewhere where I didn't belong. So
Yeah. Indeed.
I think that I have always had to work harder and make sure that
Mm-hmm.
I felt like I was bringing value. And,
Yes.
I think that's something that I always carry. I was the first one to go to college.
Mm-hmm.
My parents didn't even graduate middle school, if that. So my mom would always say, like, learn, read books and get
Mm-hmm.
educated and make sure that you can help others, like bring value and make sure that you are inclusive to others because, not everybody has the same opportunities.
Indeed.
Mhm.
Indeed. And so, how has that, I guess, multicultural background been a strength in your role and your current role now?
Yeah. I think it definitely makes me an inclusive leader. I think that,
Mm-hmm.
um, I can work well with others. I think that I
Yeah.
try to pull from others as well. So, like,
Yeah.
sometimes in meetings, people don't want to talk, and I'm like, "Whoa, what do we think about this?" Or, just kind of making sure that everybody feels heard, because
Mm-hmm.
that's something that I feel like I wish I had more of when I was, starting off.
Yes.
Um, and yeah,
Yeah.
I think
No,
that's
no, no.
it.
It's not because I'm looking at a mirror because this is how I started to be black in this field, right, in tech. It was a lot of that imposter syndrome because
Mhm.
especially coming out is because I started my gig straight from school, so I'm
Yeah,
wet behind the ears. I'm a young whippersnapper, and especially some of these senior analysts, they seem so like smart to me. I'm like, wow, these dudes are smart. Like they're like I'm coming from a classroom with professors, who are smart to like these guys who like seem super smart. And
yeah,
so that imposter syndrome is right there. And to your point, yeah, because we were raised to like you have to do above and beyond, do extra to even be noticed.
yeah,
Right, and so that was my mindset too. You have to even do more, to sort
yeah.
of you have to work twice as hard to get even half as half as much, and yeah, and so that sort of background for us has been been sort of the mode that we've been in. Like we have to do our thing, strive, go hard, and but again, that imposter syndrome is so crazy. Folks like us come from
Yeah,
where we come from. Yeah.
for sure. But I think it's kind of like your driving fuel, like you said, right? It's like it's what keeps you motivated. It doesn't,
Mm-hmm.
like, I don't feel like I ever just settle. I feel like I'm always like,
Yeah.
oh, what are we going to learn next, or what are we going to do next, or what else can I learn?
Yeah, absolutely. And what I've been learning too, and you'll probably test this, is like the longer I am now in this career, as that's what that you're getting comfortable, but you're realizing that what, I just need to bring my whole self to this and
Yeah.
be who I am. I remember I was at this conference, this is like some years ago here in, I think it's maybe the Moscone or something, right? And I'm at this conference, and I remember being like super, like business, dressed up. I had the button down shirt. I was looking sharp, because you got to show, you got to show yourself that you belong, right?
Mhm.
And fight that imposter syndrome. And I remember this guy was on stage. He was like a CEO or some startup or something, and he had on a Wu Tang T-shirt. He was just chilling with like sandals on, and I'm sitting there like feeling all stuffy and dressed up and look good, but I'm like, why is this guy so relaxed?
Yeah.
Like I grew up on Wu Tang. I
Yeah.
like hip hop. You know what I'm saying? Like, like that should be me up there like, acting like, but and so in that moment I'm like, oh my God, I need to really bring my whole complete black Jamaican self to whatever room because it's me, right? I have to be
Yeah.
me in whatever room that I'm in. So
That's so true. I think that, and maybe it's like the times are changing, right? I think
yeah.
that with everyone working from home or people being a little more laid back, I think that, even CEOs, what I mean, like our CEOs our old CEO used to wear a black shirt all the time. Like, and so
Yeah,
did,
yeah.
Apple's Steve Jobs. I think that it's
Indeed.
starting to kind of mellow out where you don't have to feel like you have to be in a three-piece suit all the time.
And you're right. And now we're seeing that, right? Everyone's super. It's not even business casual anymore. You're right. It's just like it's shorts and and sneakers,
I thought it
right?
was
You
fair.
know, yeah, and like cut up jeans and stuff. Exactly. But you're right. It's like, but I remember in that moment just feeling like, man, I have got to be myself because being sort of cooped up in whatever role I'm trying to play, to sort of fit in, is not working. Like be yourself and show up as who you are,
Yeah.
in every room that you're in.
And I think it's something that I continue to work on. I mean, I do that all the time. I still like when I go to a conference, I'm like,
Yeah.
what would this be more comfortable or would this be more appropriate?
Yes, no, absolutely. It happens all the time, and we're in a field where you have people, who are maybe in our same roles, right, who are louder, they're more outspoken, right? And so sometimes, you can kind of get swallowed up, but it's like, how do you, keep presenting yourself and bring yourself, as yourself in whatever situation or room that you're in.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So, what key piece of advice would you give someone coming up that's trying to navigate this tech world as we're talking about now?
Yeah.
that maybe come from where we come from,
Yeah. Yeah.
multicultural backgrounds. Yeah.
Whatever, something here. I would say don't be afraid and don't be intimidated. I think you guys
Hmm.
jump in. I
Yeah.
know a lot of people think that getting into cybersecurity or tech, you need to be like very technical or have an
Yeah.
engineering background or understand a lot of stuff. But there are so many roles within the comms team or marketing
Hmm.
that can be done where you can bring value. So, there's
Yeah.
that PR, AR, social, customer references, all the different roles that bring that top of funnel awareness to companies where you
Yeah.
don't really have to know the X, Y's, and Z's or like the X's and O's that happen in the bottom. You just have to be able to understand it and then, uh, tell that story to others.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so I think
Absolutely.
not being intimidated, just jumping on in, and I think just trying things out, right, and asking questions. I think that when I was younger, like I wish I knew more professionals in the field so I can say like, what's your
Yeah.
day to day like what do you like, what do you not like, to really understand like what you want to get into and what you think
Hmm.
you'll fit into.
No, absolutely. And so we mentioned it a little bit, but like AI, right? That's the big topic, right? Big big buzz in industry. It's been the topic for 2025, I guess, right?
Yes.
And so, from your seat in PR, how is it how or is AI changing your job and what you do?
It is. I think it's made it a bit easier. Obviously, like a lot of
Hmm.
admin work, I can just rely on ChatGPT or Claude or whatever else is out there. Um,
Yeah.
I think like so I write something, right? And then when I'm done with it, I look at the headline and I go to ChatGPT and I said, hey, give me 5 different headlines that I can use. So just like
Yeah.
idea generation and a lot of the admin work, it's
Hmm.
been very helpful. Obviously, we
Yeah.
have to be mindful about like what you feed the engines because you don't want to give it too much information. You don't know where
Exactly.
it's going.
Yeah.
Um, but it's definitely changed our industry, and I think that was one of the factors of me going back to school was like, well, my industry is changing, and if AI can do my job, then I need to be able to do more than just my job.
Right. What's that tagline now they have? Like AI is not going to replace your job, but the person who knows how to use AI will. Right.
Yeah, it's a tool at the end of the day, right? There's always going to be that human factor, but you have to use it as a tool, and you
Yeah.
know, yeah,
Absolutely. So I'm really curious though about your perspective. I guess from a checkpoint perspective, because in cybersecurity, right, AI is both the hero and the villain in a sense, right? It's used to build better defenses, but it's also empowering attackers, as we've been discussing already, right, to create
Mhm.
more sophisticated threats. How in the world, as you're sort of crafting narratives now, do you sort of deal with that complexity and sort of message that, to the public, to your customers?
yeah. You know, one of the instances I remember the most, or the things that I can kind of speak to is 3 years ago, we had one of our global field CISOs talking about deep fakes and how to spot
Hmm.
scams. And he did a GMA segment where he cloned the host's voice and then played it
Really?
back to him. And it was just so crazy the way that, you know, just like a short 30-second clip of your voice on the internet
Yeah.
and be replicated and then changed to say whatever they want it to say. So
Yeah.
that
That's
was pretty
crazy.
crazy.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So just kind of, and then we also talk about tips, right? Not just like we said, not just doom and gloom. So tips on how to protect yourself. So like having
Hmm.
a safe word or asking if you think you're on a scam call with AI, ask it to turn around
Hmm.
and show the back of your head because the back of your head, like once somebody turns around, the AI can't pick up the rest of it. Um,
Ah,
yeah, or if you're like
interesting.
another thing, like on a call, say, hey, can you pick up whatever book is behind you? So just
Yeah.
little things to be more aware of, and
Yeah.
that can help you not fall into scams.
Absolutely, yes. And I'm still scared about mine. Eighth grade now, right? So I'm not posting any pictures. Oh my god, it's so funny though because right now with AI, yeah, the deep fakes. I remember, gosh, from the pandemic. You remember during the pandemic when all the kids were in virtual, right? Could go to school, and they started having those Zoom attacks online. Gosh, I remember my daughter was meeting with her swim team, and someone did a Zoom attack there, and I'm literally still stuttering trying to explain the pictures that she saw on that call. I mean, just insane stuff. But from there till now, with deep fakes and so forth, it's the world of cyber is so crazy. What was it? Even recently, the I guess the Drake Kendrick Lamar battle, where Drake cloned Tupac's voice
Oh
in one
my,
of his diss
yeah,
songs. Like that's crazy stuff, right?
yeah, that was not a good. That was that was not
Wild, right?
his part. Kendrick was like, "Don't do that. Don't mess with our artists."
Yeah, because they cloned a Tupac's voice and Snoop's voice, and I'm like, this is crazy. But it was like Drake rapping in their voices. I'm like, okay, we've gone way too far.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. So if you could look back now, right, and you find a young Anna or younger Anna, right,
Hmm.
just starting out her career, what's the one thing that you tell her?
Um, I say just be proactive about your career because no one else is
Mm-hmm.
going to do it for you. I
Yeah.
think so. Get yourself in front of the right rooms, network, meet people,
Yeah.
and really carve a career for yourself. I think
Mm-hmm.
so for me, like, when we talked about, like, I did radio, and then radio I was like,
Yeah.
I don't think I want to be the person on the mic. Like, I have different days where I'm like, I'm not going to be on. I'm going to be sad today. Like, I don't want to
I'm gonna be sad today. 8 a.m. I declare today I'm being sad. This is my sad
exactly
day. Don't mess with me. Don't bother me. Thank
talk to me today.
you.
But then, then I also did a project management at a for a hospital, or a healthcare industry, and
Yeah.
I hated Excel sheets, I hated planning things, but you need to try these different things to know what you're really good at and
Hmm.
where you can excel. Because going into it, like, I was like, oh, cool, like, healthcare is great, it has great benefits, but man, I
Yeah.
cannot stand the day to day work.
That's funny. And so, is that similar advice that you would give to anyone else, like they're looking to build a career intact?
Yeah, I'd say just, network, make sure you meet the right people, make sure that you are proactive about your career. Um,
Yeah.
we can't shy away. People are graduating from college, and, even nowadays, people don't even graduate college. They just get some
Yeah.
kind of good certificate and be very smart, and you can bring value to a company. So, just
Absolutely.
always aim to bring value and always be proactive.
Always aim to bring value and always be proactive. Those are wise words, my friend.
Thank
Very wise words. And speaking of younger Anna, this
you.
past weekend was baby girl's birthday.
It was
Happy birthday to your daughter. What's her name?
Tatiana.
Tatiana?
Yes. So we call
Happy birthday, Tatiana. Oh, what do you call her?
Tati.
Tati. Happy birthday, Tati. Did I say that right? With the right inflection and accent?
Tati. Perfect.
Oh, and the time has completely flown by. We've been having so much fun. Any final words or thoughts you want to share with the viewers?
Gosh, I could say thanks for listening. I think this is a great show. I love that you highlight different things, not just tech and not just you know bland, boring stuff. I think it's nice to full self and cover everything. I mean, we talked about radio and records and hip hop, and
Yeah, yeah.
it's awesome. So I appreciate you doing that, and thanks for having me on.
Yeah, it's funny because the one thing I always said to myself, like if I'm gonna do these things, just like we were talking about before, like how do you show up as yourself? I didn't wear the Wu Tang shirt today, but maybe next time I'll rock the Wu Tang shirt. A Biggie one probably as well too. Switch it up, right? Like
Tupac all the way here. Sorry.
oh, my bad, East versus West. Anna, thank you so much. It's been so much fun. Thanks everyone for joining us. We will see you next time. Bye.